Hello there, how are you doing? Hope all is well. Now, it's been a little while since I've done a video. I've been traveling a lot. There's a lot been going in terms of trying to speak to as many people, both in Hong Kong and around Asia in general, as well as in the UK, about what's going on in the tech world. And part of the reason I haven't really done much is because there isn't actually that much going on in the tech world. In terms of regulation of AI, it's been pretty static. In terms of development in AI, things are moving at a steady pace. People are adopting it. There's nothing been sort of real game changing in the news. In fact, actually, the news has been very much focused on geopolitical issues and what's happening in the world. We're seeing lots of change. I mean, Hong Kong has been quiet. We're sort of suffering the effects of China's sort of prolonged recession. You can call it depression, recession, whatever you want to call it. It's been quite a difficult time. I mean, technology's been relatively staid. In the UK, things are pretty much the same. Things are moving, but not brilliantly. We had a change of government. I was in the UK around the time that happened and watched the optimism, which is now sort of settling to, well, we don't really know what's going to happen. And of course, we have the US. Donald Trump won the presidential election, and that should pose some interesting challenges in the world of tech. Now, I normally do my technology predictions video at the end of the year. I normally do in December, which actually December starts in just a few days as I record this. And I've been trying to put together what I think is going to happen. And actually, it's dawned on me that the world of technology has become incredibly unpredictable. What I think we're going to see is a world where technology finally splinters off. I've talked about this before. Certainly I did talk about it when Donald Trump was president before, in terms of how technology, I was always into technology when I was a kid, when I was getting into it the first time. I was obsessed with the internet because when I became a technology lawyer, it was a way to bring people together. It was uniting the world. Everyone would have the same technology. We could communicate. I've talked about how China has its completely different internet, which separates it off from the rest of the world. It was great that the rest of the world had this sort of, this one place where everyone could communicate, could be essentially as one, unify the world in a sense is what I wanted technology to do. But I think that's not going to happen. I think we're about to see a massive splintering off in terms of the technology world and where we're going to be. China is facing, it seems, or as is the EU actually, to be perfectly honest, and possibly other jurisdictions as well, including, I believe, Mexico and Canada, tariffs on imports into the US, which will make things more difficult. We're going to find each country become more self-sufficient if they've got the power to do so in terms of technology they use. We're seeing jurisdictions around the world move away from the tech giants. Apple, in particular, I've seen that jurisdictions are saying, oh, we're not going to use the iPhone. Huawei finally has its own proper operating system that it can use and roll out on phones in China, which of course China is the one pushing around the world. We're going to see this entire splintering of tech into different elements. And some of this is quite good. I mean, it's good that there's competition. It's good that there's innovation. Some of it, I think, is quite bad because it's going to make the world more of a bunch of separate jurisdictions all having different goals and different ideals and possibly fighting with each other rather than this sort of brilliant idea of globalization and how it could all be a great thing. I know China is pushing for globalization, but I know Trump definitely isn't going to. And I'm curious as what that's going to mean for technology companies. Now, I was chatting the other night to a technology startup who said it used to be very much a case of fail fast, start quickly and fail fast. But now they said, you've got literally no time. You have to get to market in nanoseconds. You have to move so quickly because if you don't, either somebody else will use AI to take your idea, build on it, do it better, or one of the big technology companies will adopt it and advance it beyond anything you could have done in that time. For example, OpenAI, when that was first, ChatGPT was first big, companies were developing technology AI products, but finding by the time it was ready to go to market, ChatGPT could already do it for you. We're also seeing now as more and more companies develop their own private AI solution, they're developing and then realizing actually we could have bought this more cheaply from someone else who's developed it more quickly. So we're seeing this weird, fast moving, not necessarily innovating, just trying to do things as quickly as possible. The innovation coming in the speed rather than necessarily in the function. And I think that's going to continue. I think we're going to find that the technology world becomes incredibly splintered. We won't see perhaps, I mean, a Trump presidency is, I assume, very laissez-faire. He's got some tech giants on his side, apart from, it seems, from Jeff Bezos. He doesn't seem to get on with him for whatever reason. But Elon Musk is part of the government, essentially. Think about that for a moment and think what happened to Twitter when it became X. Is that the way a government should be run? I don't know. Will it be more efficient? Maybe it will. Will it become more, I suppose it would definitely become more partisan. We will see. But we're going to have this sort of politicization, I think, of technology. Technology is an asset to try and impose on others rather than get anywhere. So I think it's going to be a scary time. And as to what's going to happen in 2025, which seems like it should be the future, I fear that we're going to find some innovation stifled because of the fact that no longer will jurisdictions want to work together. I worry because of the geopolitical situation, though there's some good news today about the Middle East, hoping that will continue as I record this, that's going to get more fighty. The war, for example, that's going on in Ukraine with Russia and now North Korea is involved in it, that's getting more scary. I just wonder whether the big technology that's going to succeed is things that are to do with espionage, things to essentially do with warfare. I mean, warfare always does very well, which is worrying, but whether we're actually going to see the actual innovation that affects our lives and our consumers in a good way will decrease. I don't know. We still have technology companies doing the good fight, trying to make things happen. But the market now for tech has become so hard. You've got to think about which jurisdiction you're operating in more than ever before. You don't have the world necessarily to play with anymore, and people will compete against you and steal your ideas. So it's a tough time for technology and technologists. There's some great innovations on the horizon, as always. Some seem to be in the gaming and entertainment space more than anything else, and I'm quite excited about those. But we'll have to see. If you've got ideas for what you think your predictions might be for 2025, let me know, because I would be interested in your input. I'm going to put together a video. I'm going to put together my things that I think are going to happen. I think I need to get more of a handle on what Trump's going to do, and as his essentially as his advisors come into form, we know exactly what's happening to have an idea of that. But then I have to admit, under Biden, technology kind of stagnated in the US anyway. So perhaps we're finding that there was some innovation. Perhaps a completely free market in the US is the answer. But then is that going to impact on the EU, where this market for technology and AI is, in some ways, you could argue, a bit stifling, and means that the EU is not necessarily a technology giant as it could be. Maybe the UK was great to splinter off in it. I don't think it necessarily was. Maybe they thought there's more focus for innovation that way, because I know the UK always has some interesting tech stuff going on. As for Hong Kong, it's still a little bit of a tech wasteland. It's very hard to set up technology companies here because you don't have the resource. The fact that we are close to China, where there's a massive amount of resource in Shenzhen, will hopefully change that, and we'll see some good things come out of here. But it's all going to happen against a very difficult and challenging backdrop. Anyway, that was just a quick one so you know I'm still around. By the way, I've been on a bit of a health kick. You may notice I've lost a bit of weight. That's one thing I've also been doing whilst wondering what's happening in the technology world. But I will be back before the end of the year with my tech predictions. And of course, if anything dramatic happens, but at the moment, technology seems to be in slow and steady. Nothing hugely exciting. The obsession with AI continues. Not necessarily producing anything that wildly innovative. It's we've kind of settled into a groove, which happens with any new technology. It's just the way it goes. But we will see. But anyway, I'll be back very soon. Let me know if you've got any comments. I'll put some together between now and Christmas, and set up some Christmas decorations perhaps in this room, because it looks a bit un-Christmassy, and it is almost that time of the year. If you're in Hong Kong, you're going to the Clock and Flat Music Festival this weekend, come and say hi. I will be DJing. If you want anything in terms of law or just technology or just want to chat, just drop me a line. You can comment on this video or you can message me. Have a good one, and I'll be back with something a bit more substantive relatively soon. Take care. Bye-bye.